Hello everyone, this is Hollander Cooper with Games Radar.
I'm Josh Augustine from PCGamer.
And I'm Gavin Townsley from PCGamer.
And today we're talking about Guild Wars 2, and I know you guys played a lot of the beta, which I was not invited to, and I'm upset about that.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay, because I'm going to ask you about it, so you guys can just answer all of my questions anyway. So my first question, I know the first Guild Wars had a few different classes, but only one race, and character creation was fairly limited. How does Guild Wars 2 compare?
Yeah, there's definitely more races. So there's 5 races. We were able to play 3 in the beta. We played Human, Char, and Norn. There's also Sovari, which are the crazy plant people, and Asura, the tiny little rabbit dudes.
And does the size difference actually play into it at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's much like Guild Wars, the original, where when you pick your race, it says you can be between this height, and then you just get to choose between that. But Gavin made a tiny little human girl, and I made the largest Norn I could, and she probably only went up to my waist.
Yeah, waist
She was
height
tiny.
at the top of my head.
And have you noticed that that actually creates more interesting party builds than your typical MMO?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it looks more exciting that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I'm sure all the PvP people will just be the smallest tiny possible.
Smallest target.
Yeah.
Now, and all the tanks will be the biggest.
Yes.
So how about the classes?
There are, 8 classes
Yeah.
in the game total? I only played Warrior and Guardian myself, and I think you were a Mesmer. But they're pretty fun. I'm a little disappointed not to see as many as in Guild Wars, but who knows?
Yeah. All of these classes are classes in Guild Wars, but the thing that excited me was they're a lot more interesting. The Mesmer in the original game, it's all about illusions and that sort of stuff, and they have a lot of tricks and debuffs. But in this game, you're actually like creating clones of yourself that are going everywhere that look exactly like you. Then you can shatter them, and they just break into this beautiful like stained glass butterflies that kind of float away.
Yeah. Mesmer is definitely one of the more interesting looking classes, but the Warrior was a big improvement over Guild Wars 1 as well. You're not just hitting a button and watching your character chase things around. It's a lot more inclusive into your skill and stuff.
And sort of on that topic, I want to know about the combat. Typical MMO combat is essentially like whack-a-mole. Like, oh, my ability's up. Hit the button. It turns gray. 12 seconds. It's back up. Hit the button again. How does Guild Wars 2 compare?
Yeah, it's kind of halfway between that and an action RPG. So it's not fully action RPG. You can still target people, and you have abilities that have cooldowns, and you're not like executing combos or something with your mouse button like you do in DCUO or Batman or whatever. But so your abilities can be activated any time, and they'll activate whether you're going to hit your target or not. And it's up to you to make sure that you're within range, targeting the right way, and make sure that your spells are actually hitting who you want them to.
So it's sort of like a more physical, I'm trying not to use visceral, but more physical, like, more sense of, I guess, physics would be almost the actual way.
And the dodge mechanic plays into that really well. You're encouraged to jump out of the way from big attacks, and you can do it twice, and then I think it's once every like 5 seconds you can do it again, and you can dodge like by diving left or diving back, or even if you want to go forward a lot faster, dive forward.
And when you dive, is it actually, I mean,
It's a
it actually will avoid the damage?
Yeah.
oh
It
yeah,
is a roll.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's obviously much different than typical MMOs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's not a dice roll or anything.
And how about like other generic gameplay stuff? Like, have you noticed, I know you guys didn't get a chance to go too much into crafting, but did you notice like gathering nodes or things that like people are just kind of expecting in an MMO?
There's definitely crafting. It's somewhere between kind of the traditional MMO, and it had some influence from Skyrim, I felt, where everyone can craft or kind of gather anything, and you get XP for gathering. But crafting, you can kind of learn new recipes just by tossing different regions together. But it warns you like, hey, there are 3 possible recipes that can come from this, or you aren't going to get any recipes. Stop trying to combine these things.
Right.
You know. So that was pretty cool. There's guilds, auction houses.
So it's the typical
Yeah,
MMO
yes.
suite
Yeah,
of
all the same
things.
stuff.
I'm sure there's going to be one random thing that's missing when it launched, and they'll patch it in 3 months later, as is typically the MMO deal. So one of the big things I know people have been building up for Guild Wars since it was announced is dynamic quests. People are saying, like, the rifts in Rifts, that's essentially everything in Guild Wars. How did that actually play out now that you tried it?
That was actually, I thought, the most disappointing part of the beta.
Really?
Yes. The dynamic content it didn't feel really dynamic. It felt like just a scripted event. I didn't see a lot of changing in the world, which I was under the impression, the way the devs talked about it, that if I battled centaurs in this one place, if they fell back, there would be like something to show that in the world. And it just kind of fizzled out. Really one-note events, a lot of them. Although some of them do have alternate things, like a beginning quest where you can put out fires, gather water, or feed cows and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was pretty much, questing felt almost identical to how it does in any other MMO that I've played, like the actual quest itself.
So you're just going to go, like, pick up a bunch of quests in town and then...
No, that's where it's different.
Oh.
So you don't pick up quests in towns because there aren't quests, there are events. And these are events that you just discover by getting near it. So if you're wandering around, all of a sudden a little notice pops in the top right corner. Hey, there's a giant dragon nearby. Obviously, not a giant dragon. But
Medium-sized dragon.
Yeah, medium-sized dragon nearby. You should probably take care of that. And then on your map will just be a circle like, hey, it's over in this area. And then you can decide, am I going to go over there and take care of that? Or, no, I'm just going to go do whatever. And when you kill it, like, the dragon actually does go away for a while. But it's not like when you kill the dragon, suddenly the people come out of the village and, the village is saved, and now the village expands or something. It's just like, no, the dragon's gone, it'll respawn in 30 minutes.
Do you see that do you think that's going to end up being a problem in the final game? Like, oh, I know there's a dragon quest over here, but that guy just killed the dragon, so I kind of have to wait.
No, I don't think so, because the other cool thing about the questing system is the way the event works, everyone's getting credit and you don't have to group up. So even if someone's killing the dragon, you just go over there, help kill the dragon, and then at the end, it gives you rewards based on how much you participated. So if you helped a lot, you're going to get a lot of rewards, and if you didn't, then no big deal.
So the questing, instead of going from town to town and just gathering quests, it's kind of exploring, would you say?
Yeah, the world's really organic in that way. If I want to run over to these set of villages and see what's going on over there, chances are there's going to be an event in it, and I can just do the quest while I'm there, get rewarded while I'm there. And that makes it a lot more fun than a traditional quest system, at least in my opinion.
Like, is the world interesting enough where you really want to just wander around and do that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, coupled with just how gorgeous it is, you're encouraged to run around and explore, and the map is set up perfectly for that, giving you hints on where you can go and scouts that will show you other areas that you haven't discovered that you can go, and it makes for a really great organic experience.
Yeah, and as someone who's a total completionist, there's a little bar on the map that tells you, oh, you've done 20 of the 24 events in this area. And so I'm like, oh, gotta explore. And it's like, oh, I haven't climbed up that giant mountain yet. And you climb all the way up there, and then all of a sudden there's an event and something's happening up there. There's a giant yeti you have to take out or something. And so there was kind of fun nuggets to kind of get you exploring around.
All right, so the other half of the game, PvP. Can you go in? I know you mentioned at one point there's almost like two kinds of PvP.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the first, the instanced one?
Yeah.
Yeah, instance PvP is a little bit different in the mechanics of how you get in. You join, like, there's a little button on your character's main menu, and you click on it, and you join the Miss. And the Miss is like a little lobby area that you can run around, try new PvP gear, check out different skill sets and stuff like that. And then you, like, browse a server list and join matches that, have players in them. And if you're tired of that match, or you have somebody that's really hard to fight against in it, you can either buy a pill, switch to a different team, or, go to a different server.
So the big thing to stress about the PvP is that you're auto-leveled to max level when you enter the Mist. You're basically given the stats of a level 80 character. Is it 80 or 60?
It's 80.
It's 80, thank you. Level 80 character, you're given full gear, access to all your skills, so everyone that's playing PvP together is on, in theory, perfectly balanced.
Because you also have the high level gear and skills. Usually they just level up your stats.
Exactly, yeah. So they give you the stats, they give you all that, and so though that part of PvP is supposed to be perfectly balanced in that way. And you can play it literally 3 minutes after making your character. You just have to do the tutorial quest, and then you can just go play that forever.
Okay, and what about the other kind of PvP?
So the other side is World v. World v. World, which is incredible. It's basically this giant other planet that pits 3 servers against each other. Any number of players from those servers can join in there, and it's a giant landscape filled with castles, keeps, mines, anything you'd expect in, like, a fantasy kingdom that can all be captured individually. You can build siege weapons, lay assault, take the castle against other players, and as you take these objectives, you earn benefits for your server. And so if you're holding a certain castle, everyone on your server gets 5% experience bonus or something like that. It's that perfect place where players are going to set up a team. A whole guild is going to be dedicated to guarding this one tower at night against these people, and that's all they're going to do.
Setting up watches.
Yeah, and it's going to be totally organized, and I just love that sort of thing.
Awesome. So obviously the game's kind of being beta tested now. Is there a release date?
It's coming out this year, they said. If I had to guess, there weren't a ton of bugs. We only played up through level 15, so I mean, obviously that's going to be the most polished area, but I would guess sometime in the summer, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, cool. So you can check back on Games Radar and PCGamer.com for more Guild Wars 2 news.